2015 was a year of fires, change, and challenge. It was a year of airmen and soldiers deploying overseas while also mitigating the forces of nature here at home. I'm Master Sergeant Tom Hovie. Join me now as we take a look back at this year's accomplishments and achievements of your Oregon National Guard. After 2 years of leadership, Major General Daniel R. Hokanson, the Adjutant General, was promoted to Lieutenant General and reassigned to the U.S. Northern Command. His replacement, Oregon National Guard Brigadier General Michael Stencil, took the helm in August as the Acting Adjutant General. Oregon National Guard helicopters dropped more than 780 water buckets over fires in 5 different areas in Oregon this year. Each bucket holds up to 500 gallons of water and can be dropped on specific locations at the request of on-the-ground firefighting crews. Oregon's new Governor, Kate Brown, activated nearly 400 Oregon National Guard soldiers and airmen in support of firefighting efforts around John Day and Troy, Oregon. 3 teams made up of soldiers from the 41st Infantry Brigade Combat Team, the 82nd Troop Command Brigade, along with airmen from the 173rd and 142nd Fighter Wings, worked alongside Forestry Department officials mopping up burn lines. Brigadier General Stencil, Command Sergeant Major Shane Lake, and other senior leaders visited one of the mop-up sites to see firsthand the tough and arduous work the Guardsmen were doing.
I mean, this is good business right here, doing this. It helps us. It's good for them, and it's good for everybody to be able to come in here and work together and accomplish this mission.
The Oregon National Guard Black Hawk helicopters are an essential part of Oregon's search and rescue operations. 17 search and rescue operations were conducted this year alone, one being the first ever summit rescue on Mount Hood. From fires to floods to other disasters, no single group or agency can do it all alone. More than 250 participants from the U.S. Northern Command, U.S. Air Force Reserve, Army and Air National Guard units from multiple states, alongside civilian organizations and local state and county agencies, took part in a multi-day exercise, Pathfinder Minuteman, at Camp Raialea. Participants simulated rescuing victims from a large-scale Cascadia earthquake and tsunami disaster situation. Military members worked in concert with civilian first responders to build a common operating language and synchronize emergency response techniques. Earlier this year, more than 2,000 Oregon National Guardsmen, active duty service members, and civilian personnel from across the country took part in an annual disaster response exercise, Vigilant Guard.
So exercises like this are a win-win situation. The soldiers and the airmen get the best possible training available, and the citizens get the benefit of knowing that they have a trained and ready force available to them.
In an effort to further enhance cross-agency collaboration during a large-scale disaster, Oregon's Office of Emergency Management continues to refine the Cascadia Playbook. The Cascadia Playbook is an emergency management tool for the state of Oregon that supports and directs various existing plans and efforts during the first 14 days of a catastrophic event.
Oregonians should have emergency plans for their families, and their homes should be stocked with food, water, and all critical items to help them sustain extended periods of time without electricity or plumbing.
OEM is working with the Oregon Military Department and other partner agencies in creating the largest emergency management exercise in Oregon's history, Cascadia Rising, scheduled for the spring of 2016. Along with these efforts, OEM led the world's largest earthquake drill called the Great Oregon Shakeout. Held on October 15th at 10:15, this drill allows participants to practice a drop, cover, and hold-on drill designed to save lives in the event of an earthquake.
Taking advantage of opportunities to exercise like the Great Oregon Shakeout and Cascadia Rising exercise, those provide us an opportunity to sharpen our tools and make sure we're as prepared as we can be to respond to Oregon and help those who need help.
26 members of Charlie Company's 7158 Aviation Forward Support Medical Team headed north this year to participate in the Canadian Armed Forces annual Joint Force exercise, Maple Resolve. Throughout the exercise, our pilots logged more than 128 flight hours, 17 training missions, and 9 real-world emergency evacuations for injured personnel. Century Eagle 2015 marked 30 years for one of the largest air-to-air exercises in the Air National Guard, held at the 173rd Fighter Wing in Klamath Falls, Oregon.
I just think it's fantastic that we can do this exercise and allow the community to come on, because it's a small town and a small community, and they're super gracious to let us do what we do every day, so just to give a little bit back is great.
29 Navy, active duty Air Force, and Reserve component aircraft converge on Kingsley's large ranges, learning to fight as one team in the realistic, large-scale exercise. Kingsley Airfield already practices this type of total force integration, having added 82 new active duty airmen to their ranks this year. Riding horses to battle may be a thing of the past, but armored cavalry units like Eastern Oregon's own 3rd Battalion 116th Cavalry Regiment play a large part in today's modern warfare environment.
Up here when they're doing live fire, not only they're wearing their uniform, they're wearing their body armor. So it's an extremely challenging environment, a very difficult standard, and the soldiers did exceptionally well.
The 142nd Fighter Wing Civil Engineer Squadron took their training abroad as part of a U.S. European Command's Humanitarian Civil Assistant Program in Romania. The civil engineers provided the manpower, the expertise, and gung-ho spirit to repair a local medical clinic in the city of Mangalia. 4 Army National Guard units returned back to Oregon this year from their overseas deployments. The 2 of the 162 Infantry, the 182 Cavalry Squadron, and the 1 of the 186 Infantry returned from Afghanistan. The 234th Engineers returned from Kuwait after enhancing local infrastructure in the area. All units were welcomed home by their communities with fanfare, open arms, and gratitude for their safe return. One member of the 186, Alexander Skarlatos, continued to uphold the Army values and protect innocent civilians after his deployment. While on his vacation in Europe, Skarlatos and 2 of his friends stopped a gunman from committing mass murder on a train headed to France.
Among them was one of our own, Specialist Alexander Skarlatos of the Oregon National Guard. He is also receiving the Soldier's Medal for his actions.
Skarlatos and his friends subdued and restrained the would-be murderer, earning international recognition for their heroic actions. As units returned home, the Oregon National Guard continued to train and prepare soldiers and airmen for missions around the world. 90 members of the 116th Air Control Squadron mobilized this year in support of surveillance and airspace management missions in and around the Arabian Gulf. The 116th ACS, based out of Camp Raialea, is a deployable radar and communications unit which provides airspace control and communications and operational support in military airspace. Nearly 60 Army National Guard aviators with one of the 168 Aviation Battalion deployed overseas, this time to Kuwait. The Pendleton-based unit is tasked with transporting equipment and personnel throughout the region in their new F-model CH-47 Chinook helicopters. More than 200 members of the Oregon Air National Guard's 142nd Fighter Wing mobilized to Europe in support of Operation Atlantic Resolve this year. They provided F-15 fighter jets and support equipment and personnel in support of a theater security package for U.S. European Command. The airmen trained alongside NATO allies to strengthen interoperability and demonstrate U.S. commitment to the security and stability of Europe. The Oregon National Guard continues to strengthen our relationship with our state partners half a world away. Oregon citizen service members share their knowledge and skills in emergency response with their counterparts in Bangladesh and Vietnam. This year, Brigadier General Michael Stencil and senior leaders from the Oregon National Guard traveled to Vietnam and met with representatives from our partner, the Vietnam Committee for Search and Rescue, to discuss ways we continue to help each other learn and work together in disaster response and preparedness. World War II veterans from the 41st Infantry Division gathered at the Columbia River Maritime Museum in Astoria to participate in a ceremony to bring healing and closure to Japanese families who lost loved ones during World War II. The veterans voluntarily returned these Japanese flags taken from the enemy soldiers during the war. The Japanese soldiers would wear these flags over their hearts into battle during the war. The flags were signed with messages from soldiers' families and friends. Oregon and the soldiers of the 41st Infantry Division have a historic relationship with South Pacific nations. In April, dignitaries from the Philippines, Australia, and the U.S. offered their respects to those who sacrificed and fought in World War II to liberate the island of Palawan from Japanese occupation. Here at home, Oregon's own 234th Army Band celebrated the 70th anniversary of the end of World War II with a historic concert tour and multimedia show. From the militia of the Cayuse Wars to the soldiers of World War II and onward to the warriors of today and tomorrow, the Oregon National Guard continues to grow stronger, more resilient, and more capable with every generation, building on the legacies of those that came before. We continue to serve our state through many different programs, creating more than $350 million of positive economic impact this year in communities around Oregon. As we close out 2015, we take a close look at our accomplishments and achievements. At the same time, looking forward to serving our state and nation.
No matter what the future holds, we train and prepare to be always ready, always there.